Welcome to the Tactical Dent Tech Podcast. You are now part of a small underground movement of dent technicians from all over the world. We are on a mission to change our industry with innovation, intelligence, and skill. But because we don't rely on an insurance company to steer customers our way, we need to do things different. We need to do things smarter. We do that through a network of technicians that we call the Tactical Tech Movement. Now let's get this revolution started. Go. What's happening, everybody? John Hiley and Angela Hiley here with the Tactical Dent Tech Podcast. You know, funny thing, I was actually thinking about this. We do the Tactical Dent Tech Podcast, but one of the hilarious things, like, we get a lot of people that listen to our podcast that probably have no fucking idea about the dent removal industry. They listen to it because
we funny, bitches.
We funny, man. We try to be funny, man.
We funny as hell.
Yo, you guys hang out here to the end. I'm going to tell you guys about a new award that I have that I am going to be giving away, and hopefully I don't forget. So you guys can actually type in the comments, and we'll see it. So if I accidentally try to close out and I forget to do that, which I won't, but you guys are going to have to remind me. So hope everybody is having a wonderful evening. It is Sunday night, and this is literally our third live podcast in a row.
It's Sunday night? Sunday evening.
It's Sunday evening, and it's our, well, that was not a really good correction there. I'm just saying. I mean, you know, you could really call it Sunday night or Sunday evening. But that being said, guys, we actually just got back from Dallas. So we flew back in yesterday. We went out there on Thursday, and we stayed Thursday night, Friday night, and flew back in on Saturday, which was actually pretty fucking nice. I mean, it was like we were just in and we were out, but we got a lot accomplished during that time. We went ahead and went up to see Craig Dyer.
Yeah, but this is what happened beforehand. So our plane gets delayed because they had to do some maintenance, okay? So then we get on the plane, and we're sitting there. And finally the guy shows up, and he's like, yeah, you guys are ready to go. You know, go ahead and take off, you know, go do your jam, get going. We're going down the runway. Plane starts going.
Like going. We're going.
You know?
It's like that scary part where you're looking around
Next
and you're
thing
going,
you know,
man, I hope we don't crash. But then there's like that
know,
dude sitting there with just like, he's like sleeping with his earphones.
Shut up. Next thing you know, the plane stops.
Puts on its brakes.
We turn around. We're going backwards. We're going back to where we originally were.
Everybody in the plane's looking around. The captain's not saying anything.
I'm like, oh, dear God. Like, dear God, help me. And the captain gets on the airplane pilot gets on, and he's like,
false alarm.
Oh, false alarm. This light came on. It's no big deal. Alarm. We're just going to go back down the runway. So we go back down the runway, and we're taking off, and we're going in the air, and the plane's just doing all this weird shit. And I'm like,
it's like this.
Oh, and I'm like, dear God. I'm like, Jesus, take the wheel. Jesus, take the wheel. That's all I could do. And, like, I have anxiety. Like, I get anxiety pretty darn bad. And I have to take medicine for this thing. So we're finally up in the air, and I'm basically getting ready to have a horrible panic attack, you know? So I take some medicine, and I'm like, you know what? I don't give a fuck if this flight attendant comes down here. I had to take my mask off so I could breathe, so I could get some air. And I'm thinking, like, this bitch better not say anything to me because I need to get myself centered, you know? So it doesn't look like a crazy woman is running up and down the aisle saying a bunch of crazy shit.
So let me tell you guys, it was even we ran into some girl afterwards who came from Dayton, and she actually said, it was kind of like that pilot was new at it. Everybody was thinking that. They're like, this is motherfucker's first flight? Because you got to think about that. There's always the first fucking flight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that they train with each other and stuff like that, but maybe that was the first fucking time he ever had his hand on the wheel and he was the fucking one in control of shit. So it was fucking, it was fun.
Yeah, I've never experienced anything like that flying. And it was so weird because, like, I talked to my dad, like, the day before we left. And I was like, oh, I love flying. It's just so much safer, you know? You just get up in the air and you go. And then that shit happens. And I'm just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's just like, Jesus, take the wheel.
Here's another funny thing, guys. Greg Hunter just said, nice hat. Well, Greg, while I was in Texas, I actually found the fucking coolest way to wear a mask. And it actually has a lot to do with your hat, because right here is a fucking automatic mask. So here I am walking around. I've got my hat. So for all you podcast listeners,
it worked everywhere we went.
Everywhere we went,
everybody
like literally.
got a giggle. Everybody got a giggle.
For all you podcast listeners, I literally just pull my hat off my head, and you can hear that I'm muffled right now. And I've got it over top of my nose, and I closed it in, and I'm just literally holding it over my face. Every place that I go says all you need is a fucking face covering. So you literally can just pull your hat, put it over your face, and walk the fuck in. Yeah. I actually had people laughing at me. So from behind the counter, I walked into a 7-Eleven and I just pulled, like, I literally forgot. And then when I got in there, the dude's like all, putting his mask on and shit. I just pulled my hat off and stuck it on my face, and he just started laughing about it.
And it worked.
So, so it worked. But we made it to Texas, and the landing, by the way, was all fucking rattly and shit, too. So we make it to Texas.
Which I guess he just was a newbie, but he could have at least let us know. He could have been like, listen, guys,
I'm sure that would just calm us all down.
No, but there was two pilots. There was a younger guy, and then there was an older guy. But if they could have just gave us a heads up, then we could have been like, okay, this makes perfect sense. People don't feel like they're going to die on this airplane.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm thinking, like, if this plane takes off and then it crashes and I don't survive, I'm like, okay, I know Jonathan will be okay, but I'm like, who's going to take care of my dogs? Like, who's going to take care of my dogs? I kept thinking, like, who's going to take care of my Lily? My poor Lily's got a senior.
I find that the
senior
worst
citizen, and she's got a freaking pacemaker. I'm like,
I find the worst thing to think about is what's going to happen if you die. You know what I mean? Like, that's like where you've done went and your mind's went into a fucked up place. Where you're sitting there thinking, like, you're like, oh, who did I put in my will again? All right. Oh shit. Who's going to take care of my dogs?
Lily.
Oh
take
no.
Care of my girl.
What about my pet fish? Oh shit. Oh, my fish, Fluffy, in there. My pet fish. Who's going to take care of Fluffy?
We named it Fluffy. You just flush it down the toilet.
How dare you say that about Fluffy the pet fish? Yeah. So speaking of fish, we actually went out, and I'll go full circle with that, because we actually went out and was able to spend some time with Craig Dyer and his wife Linda, and Christina came over and her kids came over, and we were able to check out. Craig moved kind of like, was it like north of where he had lived previously? So it was like, I think it was like the north side of Texas, which I could be fucking wrong about that, because
no, south?
Maybe it was the south side.
I have no idea.
When I got there, like, I couldn't tell whether north, east, west, south, whatever. We just followed the fucking GPS. And it got us to wherever we needed to go. But they basically lived like outside of the major city. They were like 30 minutes away from Anson is where they live now. And it's kind of cool because out there where Craig lives, it's like being in the country but being in town at the same time. So they live right off of a highway exit, and then you kind of like go through town a little bit, then you go off and you're in the country. And so we actually got a chance to go there, and we went to probably one of the best fucking barbecue places I've ever been to in my life.
I thought I was going to die because of the heat.
Yeah, see, that's the thing about me and her. Like, she can't handle the heat.
I can't handle the heat
and
like
I
that.
can fucking live in that shit. I could literally live in Jamaica, man. I could live in fucking Jamaica.
I thought I seriously was going to die.
I mean,
it was like 10 o'clock at night, and it's 90 degrees outside still. And
I don't even feel that shit. Like,
I'm
people acting like they're going to pass out and
My
shit.
body
I'm like,
can't cool down.
shit. I'm like, this kind of feels good,
And then
you
it
know?
was like 110 degrees outside one day, and I'm like...
But I'm a little bitch in the wintertime. I'm like a little bitch in the wintertime, man. I'm like, oh, God, is it too cold? And you're like, oh, it's 50 degrees. And I'm like, fuck me. Nah. I'm like them people in Florida that come up to like 70-degree weather, and they're like, oh, I need a coat. You know, it's like, and they just totally bitch the whole time, like in any type of weather that's anything other than warm. That's me in
I got
cold
my
weather.
snow boots on, a sweatshirt, and some shorts, and I'm out there shoveling the driveway.
Yeah. So we had a chance to go eat at this barbecue place, and I can't remember the fucking name of it. Maybe Craig will remember the name of it.
It was really good.
But it was off the hook. There was only like 2 of them, he was saying, and Craig knew the owner because they just fucking like, we went through there and they just hooked us up. And, you know, I bought like...
Their banana pudding was
I literally bought like 5 pounds of meat because it was like one of these things where you walk up and it was like this kind of like a smoker. Like they were these big old fucking like big old giant pits.
Yeah.
So it was literally like these pits where they
caskets,
had
like where they would stick somebody and like cremate you.
And like they had coals underneath of them, and they cooked all their meat in these fucking giant metal boxes. And by the time you actually got up to pick out your meat, you would just pick out and you would tell them like, whatever. I wanted this much of the brisket. I wanted so many pounds of the chicken, so many pounds of the ribs.
Their sausage was the best.
Yeah, it was. They had jalapeno sausage. She loves my sausage.
Shut up, John. Oh, dear God. Well, I'm supposed to. We're married.
Right.
I mean, if I say I didn't like your sausage, there would be something wrong.
Yeah, that's true. But I hate it that we just went there when we're talking about food, because now all y'all are going to be thinking about my sausage. She's a pervert.
I'm not a pervert.
All right. So that being said,
just a little dirty-minded.
I basically ordered like a whole like plate of all this fucking meat just piled up on it, and they let you grab the barbecue sauce. They gave you like free beans and shit, and like got your side items and all that stuff. And the shit was just fucking amazing, man. It was a good night, and once you got inside, it was air conditioned. So whiny over here, stop whining,
John. That's not nice.
And
my body doesn't.
I thought I was gonna have to carry her in, like fireman carry her in, after like 5 minutes of sitting out in the heat.
Well, I think what it is like when it's so hot outside, I feel like I'm suffocating, and when I feel like I'm suffocating, unfortunately, the anxiety wants to kick in, and it's just like it just doesn't go well with me, unfortunately.
And then Craig, he ended up taking us over to Old Town, which is outside of his little city. I can't remember the name of it, but it's literally a place called Old Town, and we actually drove through there, and it was fucking hilarious. There was this restaurant there that like none of the waiters, none of the people. I mean, there was like fucking 200 people there, none of them wearing a fucking mask. And I was like, shit, Craig, we should have went here.
Yep.
And he's like, I don't see how they get away with it. He goes, City Hall's right there. And I'm like,
right
fucking
across
people,
the street.
fucking people at City Hall are probably like, man, that's a cool place to fucking go, because I ain't got to wear a fucking mask over my face.
Yeah.
We don't give a fuck. I'm a fucking savage motherfucker. Give me COVID. Shit. Give a fuck. Scared of no fucking cold. Aggressive cold.
An aggressive cold. We've all been sick like that before.
Hell yeah, we have. Hell yeah, we have.
Just gotta, tough it up.
Yeah, I know I can't remember shit, John Thompson. You're right, dude. Yeah, that's totally 100%, dude, because my mind, that's the thing, like I don't focus on like a bunch of tiny little details. I'm always thinking like big picture all the time.
And I love the details.
I literally have to meet you like fucking 10 times face to face before I remember your fucking name. And honestly, it's
unless you do something funny and then it's just embedded into his brain.
Could walk up to me, shake my hand, and introduce me, like literally introduce themselves to me and fucking give me their name, and I would forget their fucking name within 10 seconds of talking to them.
Hey, it looks like Aaron right now's got COVID, and he's saying it ain't shit.
It ain't shit, son.
It ain't shit.
I've got COVID. It ain't shit.
Here's the thing. Okay, like
hell yeah, Aaron.
Here's the thing.
Beat that fucking shit, son.
We all get sick. Okay, we all get sick, and what it is some people will get sick worse than other people. And I honestly feel like with this whole thing is I hope maybe people start taking better care of themselves. Now, I mean, like, you can get sick regardless, but, I mean, you should take good care of yourself,
Well, it's funny to see all the fucking toilet paper and shit missing off the shelves, but all the fucking vitamins are good to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or all the fucking, the pizza aisle, when people started depleting all the food, the pizza aisle fucking wiped out. Vitamins everywhere, dude. There was fucking vitamins galore. I could find vitamin C. I could find, and we eat, like, I eat all kinds of fucking vitamins. I put vitamins in my drink. We eat them in gummy vitamins. We eat fucking vitamin C. I just eat vitamins all the fucking time. Like, you can, all day long, I'm eating vitamins.
I would hope that maybe people would take better care of themselves. Like, eat some vitamins.
But I'm saying, you think we'd have a damn vitamin shortage.
Let's eat better. Let's drink more water. You know what I'm saying? Let's not be doing a lot of hardcore drugs. Let's take better care of ourselves.
Don't you be talking about hardcore drugs. That's what raised me. I was raised by hardcore drugs. That's the only way I got by in high school. Shit, son.
But I mean, for real, you know?
No shortage of fruits and veggies.
Make sure you're getting enough sleep, you know? Don't,
Speaking of that, speaking of health and wellness, and I want to go full circle with this. I'll actually go back to the health and wellness thing because I'm telling you guys, if you guys didn't see on one of my previous posts, I actually had the chance to kick it with one of the best bodybuilders in the world. He's like top 3 in the world or some shit like that. So, we had a chance to actually one of the coolest motherfuckers on planet Earth.
Very humble.
Yeah, one of the coolest people. Steve Kuko. I want to talk a little bit about that because let me tell you something. Anytime you get to sit in front of a fucking champion, I don't give a fuck what they do, whether it's bodybuilding, whether they're a champion in business. When you get a chance to sit in front of a champion, you just shut the fuck up and you listen to them because there's always a big takeaway. There's always something you can take away from that conversation. And but going back to full circle, I'll talk about our other champion, Craig, which is probably one of the best people on earth, Craig Dyer. Who is now representing the tactical tool line, where we had a chance to really just talk about. We had a chance to go over to Anson PDR, and we went through. I went and checked out the town he lives in, and went over to Anson PDR, and then of course he tried to convince me to move there, and then of course she's already about dying of heat. She's like, there ain't no fucking way we're ever moving here. No. But we actually, so we checked out the new Anson building where it was being built. We checked out how the walls were getting ready to go up. It's going to be fucking beautiful. It's going to be insane. But to top it off, what was actually really cool later that night, we went out and fed the fish. And Craig, he literally he bought a house that I guess they couldn't even sell the property for like 10 years. That's how run down the house was. And what he did was he went in there and just remodeled it and made it beautiful. And it had a pond in the front yard. And apparently the pond broke loose. And he had to fix it this last year. And he's actually got it stocked with catfish and perch. Mm-hmm. And before we left there that night, we actually stayed there till about 11 o'clock. And before he left there that night, we rode out with his golf cart and actually fed the fish. And it was crazy. It was like you would throw in a thing of this floating fish food, and these catfish would look like piranhas just coming up. Yeah. And you could see he actually had an albino catfish in there, and occasionally you would see it come up, And he'd throw some along the edge for the perch. And just a cool experience, just one of the better experiences, one of the cool experiences. Actually, the whole trip was a great experience for me. She would get hot, and then I would be like, good to go.
Everything was all. I just couldn't handle the heat.
Yeah,
couldn't do it.
So going back full circle to the reason why we flew out there, I was going out to the Apex Mastermind. I think I talked about that last week. And that's my dude Ryan Stuman who puts that together. He puts together this G code and all this kind of shit, which is fucking really cool, man. He's put together one hell of a program, and it's really fucking expensive to get into the room that I get into. And I tell you guys that, like, I invest in myself, y'all. Like, I'm not just out here preaching, invest in yourself, you know what I mean? Continue learning, you know what I mean? Take yourself to the next level, surround yourself with fucking amazing people. I do it, and I invest in myself, and I spend a lot of fucking money to actually do that. So we actually get a chance to go out and get in a room of about, I'd say there's probably 30, 35 people in there. And they were all basically nice. At the highest level, of just really good people. Of Apex. And just crazy, the shit that we learned in that room, going through the entire, everybody was in there and just learning about their businesses. And one of the things that actually struck me when I knew that I was sitting in the right room is that each and every one of them had nothing but fucking success. I mean, nothing but success. I mean, there may have been one or two people that were down a little bit. So one of the dudes that was in there, he actually sells T-shirts and he sells all kinds of shit, hats. He's the one, if you guys seen the fuck mask that I had on, he sells them, but he sells them in mass quantity, right? So they're actually labeled like one of the 50th biggest companies in the world that does apparel. And the only reason he's down this year is because he supplies Facebook and Google with their T-shirts. And they're not working or they're not having events, so they're not making them big orders right now, right? But that's the only reason he was a smidge down. We actually had a lady in there who literally owned a trucking company, and her company was called Mother Trucker. Mm-hmm. And it was this lady in there, and they are fucking killing it, expanding every which way. But the common theme sitting in that room and hearing each and everyone talk about is they all fucking killing it, right? Here's the next common theme. Each and every one of them was investing in themselves at a high level, okay? And like, for instance, there's a doctor in there who works in stem cell research, and this dude was fucking phenomenal, actually, just phenomenal to listen to, all of the different things that they're figuring out and all of this shit. And he actually said that, well, I guess I better not tell this story, right?
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, better not tell this story, but let's just say the government is fucking us. The government, the government is fucking us once again, guys. Let's just say that, okay?
That's not surprising at all.
That's not surprising, right? But what is he doing? He's out there fucking killing it, right? He's marketing. He's doing his shit, right? And we actually, again, we had the chance to, so Steve, after lunch, Steve Kuko came in, and he's one of the top 3 bodybuilders in the world.
Originally from Detroit, Michigan. Just a very humble individual. You know,
very humble
good
individual.
energy, just a good guy.
And we actually had a chance to talk to him not only about what it takes, like the mindset of being a winner. And one of the things that actually stuck out when we were talking to him about having the mindset of a winner was that he would literally like tune people out that were bringing negativity into his life. You know what I mean? Like if people had a negative impact on his life, he would literally get them out of his life. Okay. And, you know, that's one of the things that I think we all need to respectfully purge from time and time again, right? Is who are the people that we're allowing in our space, and are they adding value to our life, or are they actually decreasing value from our life?
And here's the thing. It's like sometimes we give these people chances, like we'll give them another chance. And then and what it is we're making up excuses.
Well, sometimes it's cool to love people from a distance as well. Oh,
yeah, absolutely.
You know, to love people from a distance. And one of the things that I do, like whenever I do any activity, the one thing that, like, my biggest observation when it comes to like any activity, or whenever I meet somebody face to face, or whenever I'm talking to somebody, the one thing that I reflect on after each one of these moments is, did that situation fuel me with energy, or did it take energy away from me? So I try to be super self-aware and try to like really just feel how I feel after these moments, because that will tell me more than anything that was said. And that's one of the striking resemblance with everybody in the room, is that literally they did not allow that negative bullshit into their fucking life. And one of the things that I actually liked that he said, so we were talking nutrition as well, you know, going full circle. You know, we were talking nutrition. Did you want to say something?
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'll let you go.
But there was also another key point that everybody else, and Ryan pointed this out, like everybody that was in there, like we all basically kind of came from nothing and, you know, went out there and hustled, went out there and like made something out of ourselves. Nobody in that room was ever given like a silver spoon.
So basically nobody in that room had a silver spoon up their ass.
Yeah. And that is so inspiring. Like, I absolutely loved sitting there and listening and hearing everybody's story, because I'm like, this is so fucking awesome. Like, I wish more of that was out there these days. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's like when people see somebody at a certain point in their life and they're actually like, they have made it, they're just like, they don't realize where they came from and what it took to be able to get to that point.
Yeah, so I want to say a lot of people just think like when they see somebody at the top that they just fucking lucked out or something like that. Well, luck let's not say luck. Let's just say success leaves clues. Okay, so if you look at everybody inside of that room, and everybody inside of that room was fucking wildly successful. I mean, they had to be if they were going to invest that much money in themselves on a yearly basis, right? And so literally everybody in that room was wildly successful, and each one of them left the exact same clues, okay? And the interesting thing about it is a lot of them were on pursuit for a lot of the things that I've obtained over the last 6 months. you know, and a lot of people were on that pursuit, you know, because you got guys that are people that are making, you know, millions of dollars a year, and they're still copying and pasting shit, you know what I mean? And doing like small little meaningless tasks, so they feel like all day long they're working from fucking, you know, 4 a.m. till midnight, right? And then you've got people that have kind of figured it out, right? So I would say that would be the only thing, but everybody was on that path. Everybody was on that journey to of freedom, really. I mean, ideally, at the end of the day, what is money and what is success worth if you can't live the life that you want to live?
Yeah.
You know, and so you know, I believe that either people in that room were achieving that, or they were there purely for that fucking reason, right?
Yeah.
So they were there just purely to say, you know, how can I live the life of my dreams? Because as entrepreneurs, you know, a lot of you guys know this. Almost everybody who listens to me, I would say, is some sort of entrepreneur. But we get addicted to the process. And sometimes the process stops serving us, right? And then sometimes when you get to a certain level, the process totally fucking changes, right?
Yeah.
So I couldn't live today like I lived in the past, where I was running from phone call to phone call to phone call and answering and booking jobs and all this kind of shit and doing all this stuff on my own, you know, and going out and running and working and driving over town for like, you know, $200, $300, $400, right? I can't live like that. So I had to actually change shit. And at first it's fucking scary, because you're like, okay, well, if I change the way that I am, and you know, this is what got me here, right? So this is what got me here. So if I change that, am I going to lose everything? You know? But at some point you got to realize what's serving you and what's not serving you, and what's going to take you to the next level is not what got you to where you're at now. So, I mean, unless you are at the next level, what's going to take you there is not what got you to where you're at today. I mean, we actually see that in my mastermind group. You know, I'm not going to name any names, but we got a few people in there that have set themselves up to where they can step away, man.
Yeah.
Like you know,
killing it.
Yeah, imagine that shit, right? So your business is doing so well, and this is in my mastermind group inside of the dent removal industry, that their business has become so well oiled that they can actually step the fuck away, go on vacation for a couple weeks, and shit just fucking runs. You know, I mean, that's the dream of every entrepreneur. That's where we all want to be. You know what I mean? But that being said, actually having Steve in the room was phenomenal, because, you know, I want to get deeper into a fitness journey. I believe that, you know, that I'm okay, but I believe that I can actually even get better, especially being in the presence of this fucking chiseled fucking bodybuilder. Like, I don't want to look like a bodybuilder, but like when I was hearing him talk, I was like, I literally wrote 2 pages of fucking notes from this guy. So Steve Kuko, the bodybuilder, is up there. I'm fucking writing notes and shit. And that's one thing she noticed. Like, I was the one probably that wrote the most notes in the room, and I do that. Yeah. I carry just a notebook, and when I go into any mastermind meeting or any got a janky coaching meeting, too. But I know what everything says, and I draw circles and arrows and shit in it, right? And I review it. So I want to be able to fucking like the shit that hit me, I want it to be able to hit me again and again and again, because these are things that I want to add to my life. Yeah. And talking to Steve, like, he was fucking right. So he told me in this meeting, he said, man, you know, like me, like I'm addicted to ice cream, right? Like I could just sit here and fucking eat ice cream all the time. You know, I love vanilla ice cream, right?
John loves skinny cows.
He just said this so I like Wendy's too. The Wendy's fucking ice cream thing.
He loves skinny cows.
So, you know, he said this so nonchalantly. He goes, just take a one bite of it. And he's like, then throw it away. He goes, your craving will go away, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here going like, oh man, you don't know me, right? I'm like, shit. I'm like, I eat a fucking whole tub of ice cream, son. I'm like, I can't stop. That's impossible, you know? And so anyhow, I tried it out on potato chips last night. And so she had out some potato chips, and I was like, you know, I could probably fuck that whole bag up. I said, but let me just take some few potato chips and eat them.
Yeah.
Yum, 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 yum.
Yeah.
And then I stopped myself, man, and I just kind of like got away from them, went to the other side of the couch, you know. About 10 fucking minutes later, I didn't want potato chips anymore.
Nah.
He was talking about there was some lady in there who loved Raisinets. And he told her to carry 2 or 3 Raisinets with her a day and eat one occasionally, you know? He goes, I promise you, your cravings go away. You just got to have a little bit of it, and then it'll go away. And then last night,
I honestly think like when you really like indulge in it, you feel like shit afterwards. But if you eat just a little bit of it,
and another thing, another thing that he was saying is that like a 90-10 rule. You know what I mean? Like, do 90% of the time, fucking do it right, man. Like 90% of the time, do it right, and then take that 10% and give yourself a little something. You know what I mean?
A little something.
You don't want to fucking self-erupt or whatever. You don't want to self-sabotage yourself because you've deprived yourself for so fucking long.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, it was cool. It was a great experience. I was actually got to be the last speaker at the end of the day. And, of course, a lot of the folks in there are interested in taking their businesses and actually creating kind of what I've done with Dent Trainer and how I've expanded into tools. And then I went into software development. And we just basically took one business model, started out with the dent removal industry and just continued to build business models around it, right?
Yeah.
Ideally, that's, you guys think about that, like that's how you want to really move, right? Because, I don't know if you guys have heard this before, but it's much easier to, and this goes for any of you auto reconditioning professionals out there. If you guys open a shop, it's much easier to sell more things to clients and customers that are coming in your shop than it is to go obtain more clients and customers. Okay. So, if you I'll give you an example. I mean, we actually, when we were going full scale and auto body repair, we started doing rim repair. We started doing, along with the paintless dent removal, we started adding in chip repair and and all this other shit, right? And it just compounded because when people have their vehicle, they already know, like, and trust you. If you do a good job in one service, it's natural for them to give you your vehicle in something else. Well, same thing in the dent removal industry or any industry for that matter. I don't care if you're HVAC, or if you're in the real estate industry. There was a lady in there who wants to get into selling her course inside of the real estate industry, and she actually has done a really good job hiring virtual assistants and having them take the load off of her plate. And she went on and had this story, about how, the virtual assistants will do this and they'll do that. And she was going on and on about it. And she was confused about what her course should be. So like, what do I want to teach? What do I want to give to the world? And as soon as she got done telling us this story about how she was able to operate her business at such a high level and how she was able to use like outside help from, like virtual assistants, I just looked at her, I said, that's your course. I mean, how many other fucking real estate agents?
Your blue water.
Yeah, that's your blue water. Meaning that some of you guys don't know in marketing, we got red water and we got blue water. If you step into red water, that's where everybody's competing and it's all fucking red because there's nothing but blood in there. And everybody's competing with each other. If she literally came out with a course like, I'm going to teach you how to sell, this many homes per year and make this much money, she would be in the red water because there's a shitload of fucking real estate courses like that. I mean, how many people go out and tell you, I'm a fucking making millions of dollars per year. I'm going to teach you how to close, this many sales per day. She would literally be competing with probably hundreds of other course creators. But because she has this whole virtual assistance thing down and she's able to create a lifestyle around it, live her life. I mean, these people, these assistants that she has are not only just fucking helping her out, close clients and do paperwork and stuff like that. They're actually doing things in her personal life. You know what I mean? Like calling and taking care of shit and setting up her daycare for her kids. And I mean, all kinds of shit. She's a single mom
with 3 kids.
And how many real estate agents would look at that and be like, oh God, I'm so busy. How great would it be to literally spend like $300 a week to buy back 40 hours worth of my time?
Yeah.
And so, for instance, that's why I said it was the blue water, because the blue water is where you find an open market. In any industry, in anything. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, y'all, we had a hell of a time out there. Got to step in a room with some badass motherfuckers. Got to be one of them badasses for a lot of fucking people that are in that room.
And we went to this one place for dinner.
You guys from Texas might know it's called the Three Forks.
I don't know about that place.
There was a lot of people that got fucked up from it, though.
There's people that got sick from it.
There's people that felt like shit the next day.
So I ordered this. Okay, I don't eat a lot of red meat. Okay, I'm not a big red meat person. So they had this thing. It was like a cauliflower steak, and I've heard like people have made them before. I've heard there's a restaurant in our area that has one. It's supposed to be like phenomenal, and then you're supposed to like saute it and season it and fry it a little bit, and then you like stick it in the oven. And I thought that's what I was going to get. I thought I was going to get something that was going to be like amazing with some mashed potatoes on the side. This thing comes out, and it's a piece of, like, a whole thing of cauliflower that's steamed.
Looked like they had just steamed a half a fucking cauliflower or something.
Stuck some, like, spinach on the bottom. And then on top, it looked like they took, like, this big blob of, like, nasty gravy and just, like...
I swear the waiter was trying to talk her out of it. He was like, so you're saying you want the cauliflower? And she's like, oh, yeah, the cauliflower steak.
He was having a hard time understanding what I was saying.
He's like, let me talk to the chef. Goes off and talks to the chef. Comes back and goes, ma'am, that is cauliflower.
But
and she's like, that's what I wanted. I wanted cauliflower. And he's like, finally, begrudgingly, he fucking wrote it down on the menu. And I'm like, I don't know if that's a good sign, babe. Sounded like he tried everything he could do to talk you out of that shit.
I probably should have just ordered some fish or something like that.
My steak was good.
But when I seen it, I thought it was going to be something fabulous, and it just wasn't. It
was a fucking nice looking place. I will tell you that.
It was extremely nice.
Like if you were to walk in there, you'd be like, "What the fuck?"
But
man, this
I don't
place
know.
is nice.
No, something.
It's not a Fleming's. Any of you guys like Fleming's? I think you can't go wrong with Fleming's, man.
No, it's just like kind of, we've always had this thing where it's like we'll go to a new state or something of that, and people will be like, oh, yeah, we're going to go to the steakhouse. It's supposed to be really good. And every time we go, I'm just like.
People at Fleming's love me, too. I'm the dude who always tips $100.
Yeah. I had John tell some funny stories, too.
Hell yeah. You guys already heard all them motherfuckers.
Some funny stories.
We are going to have to tell, coming this Thanksgiving, we're definitely going to have to tell the time my parents ate the brownie story.
That's the best
That's going to be one.
Ever.
We figured we're just going to have to tell that every year.
Every year, because it's a story that can be told over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And everybody laughs and giggles and all this and that.
Yeah, Greg, you got it, buddy. Yeah, I'm going to have to go through my notes and actually talk about it. I thought about that, bringing my notepad and just going through and talking about the notes and shit like that. You know what? I'm probably going to do that, but I'm going to do that in my Marketing Savage group, okay? Yeah. So that's going to be a perfect video for the Marketing Savage group. And that being said, I told you guys at the beginning I was going to tell you how to win a fucking prize. Well, inside of the Marketing Savage group, and don't fucking go in there unless you like marketing, because I'm not going to tolerate any bullshit in that group, all right? So straight up professional. I'm not going to tolerate fucking fights. I'm not going to fucking start fights in there. I'm not going to talk about politics. What?
That's what you were doing when we were at the airport. John was letting out these horrible farts. Horrible farts. Like, it smelled like he shit himself. I'm like, why are you doing this? I'm like, can't you just wait till we get our boarding passes and check in our
My belly hurt.
And then we can go. Because I thought, like, when we were standing over there up at the counter, that, like, the gentleman was going to think it was me. And John was trying to blame it on me. He was like, dear Lord, honey, don't be doing that. And I'm like,
that was a bad one, too.
It smelled
you know what? I don't give a fuck, because I liked it. My farts stink.
Nobody wants to smell.
And to be honest with you, I'm kind of fucking proud of that. Like, I don't like it when they don't stink, because I always like to see the look on your face. Here's a look on her face like this. She starts out like this. She goes.
I'm like, did I just get a whiff of something I wasn't supposed to?
But then she goes like this. She goes like, her face changes in like a split second. And any of you guys who are watching this video, if not, man, you need to jump on my follow me on Facebook. But her face goes from like just, you see her nose move a little bit, kind of like a mouse, you know, like a mouse sniffing something. And then it immediately goes to this. It's like, and then she's like, you didn't. I can't stop laughing. It's like the funniest shit on planet Earth.
I've been dealing with this shit since day one, since we were together.
Hell yeah. I'm not hiding that from her.
Even when I was pregnant. I was like, what, like 7.5, 8 months pregnant
Yeah.
when we were in Walmart that one time?
Yeah, I farted in the aisle, and about 5 guys heard it, and it was one of them good ones, man. You ever remember them farts like back in the day when you were in school that you could lean on them plastic chairs and get that perfect angle, and it almost would amplify the whole room? Well, let's just say somehow it came out that loud. And all these dudes like turned around and looked at us. We were in the fishing aisle. And she literally turned and looked at me and started biting her nail. And she started backing up. She's 7.5 months pregnant. Yeah. And all these dudes are looking at me, and I'm looking back and forth at them. And then she's backing up. And I said, babe, I'm glad you're backing up before you shit on me.
That's so wrong. That is so wrong of you. See what I have to deal with.
Oh, that was the best ever. And then don't you remember on the same day we went over to Kentucky Fried Chicken and I farted in that seat and then me and that employee had a conversation about it?
Yeah, but you guys want to hear something funny? So when I was pregnant, okay, so I gained about like 50 pounds when I was pregnant with Jonathan. But the funny thing is John was the one that got all the stretch marks. And I didn't get it. I just got a few stretch marks on my rear end. That was it. But John's the one that got all the stretch marks.
Just because I got fat from eating all them. I got fat from eating all them Big Macs with her.
Oh, I love them Big Macs when I was
Don't
pregnant.
judge me on my stretch marks that I got when I was pregnant. That is sexist and racist.
One of my favorite things was when I was pregnant, I kid you not, I used to take, so I was on like John and I, we didn't have shit when we first got together. So I was pregnant. I was on Wix. So they give us these coupons. Mm-hmm. And the coupons, we could get like milk and cereal and like some other shit or whatnot. And I remember I used to take a big mixing bowl. I'd pour the whole box of cereal and a half a gallon of milk. And I used to finish that bitch off like it was something like...
Son, I came from government cheese. I don't give a fuck.
Those were good times.
You know, that was even before... shit, at that time, that was before we even went out and did. Like, I didn't know dent removal. I didn't know how to do any of that shit.
You were working at Dan and Yogurt when I was pregnant.
But I was working for like a temp agency, so it's not like I
was
like
this
hired
yogurt,
directly or something.
Like all this yogurt, and when I was, I like yogurt a little bit, but like it used to like turn my stomach. And John would bring all this yogurt, and I'm just like, oh, this shit's so fucking nasty. And he'd be like eating it. He's like, ooh, this is a little creme.
You know what
this
though?
This stuff is so good.
I want to point something out to you guys here. Okay, I want to point something out to you guys here. It's something I just thought of, and this is maybe me bragging on myself a little bit, but this is more than that. This is more like, you know, whatever you do in one arena or one area of life, you're going to do it in another area, okay? So when I worked at Dan and Yogurt, and I was working there second shift, during second shift was literally you would finish the run from first shift. So first shift would start a run. You would finish that, and then you would clean the fucking machine, right? And then you would start the run for second shift, okay? So literally was for third shift. So literally like in second shift, there was like 5 hours worth of cleaning. I had the cleanest motherfucking machine in that place. Like I may have only been making $10 an hour, whatever I was making at that time, but I had the cleanest fucking machine in that place. Because when I went in there, I didn't give a fuck and the same way, when I was a manager at a car wash, I ran that bitch like it was my own. You know what I mean? I turned it into a fucking $1 million operation. It doesn't matter. Whatever job I put myself in, whatever job I was in, I was dedicated to become the fucking best at it.
Yeah.
And that's why it really didn't occur to me. I was listening to some Napoleon Hill, and he was talking about how whatever you do in this arena of your life, like do it to your fucking the greatest you can possibly do it, right? Because that's going to like set you up for success. And literally what that is you training yourself to be fucking good and great at no matter what, you know, lands on your plate. And I had the baddest, cleanest fucking machine in that entire fucking place. I'm glad I lost the job, you know, because I probably wouldn't be sitting here with you today. Because literally, you know, we got to think about that like a dream in the past, like my dream. And this is why your dreams change. Like I'm living our dream now, but now I've got a new dream. Okay. You're always going to have a new fucking dream. Mm-hmm. And because we're always growing as human beings, right? But back then, my dream was to become a full-time employee at Dan and Yogurt, you know? I was fucking 18 years old, however old I was to become a full-time employee there because they pay you, you know, I think at the time it was like $17 an hour. Now I can't even fuel my fucking airplane with that, you know?
We don't have an airplane yet.
Yet. I like that. Yet.
But the thing was, though, even though, like, you were working at Dan Yogurt, John, you worked a lot of overtime, and he bought me everything that I wanted for the baby.
I worked every bit of overtime they would give me.
Yeah.
I mean, I was probably working like, 80 hours a week? Mm-hmm. Like 80 hours a week. So, Man, that's the way you got to do it, though, guys. You got to get in the habit of being the fucking, I don't give a fuck if you're cleaning toilets. Be the best fucking toilet cleaner on planet Earth. I know a lot of you guys listen to this, may or may not, be cleaning toilets. Probably not. It's a Tactical Dent Tech podcast. But like I said, there's a lot of fucking people. I was very surprised, people that I go from high school listen to it. And I'm always surprised, the different types of listeners that we get, being that it's a dent removal podcast. And that being said, if you guys haven't checked it out as well, I also got the Marketing Revolution podcast. So I started firing that back up. I also got the live video inside of the Marketing Savage group. And what I was going to tell you is that you can actually win. So every Monday, I pick a Marketing Savage, so an individual, and Crystal Elson got it last week.
I love Crystal.
I don't think it was on Monday, though, because I just came up with the idea sometime in the middle of the week, and I put it together.
She's one of my Midwest girls.
Yep. So tomorrow, I'm going to pick a new Marketing Savage. I'm going to drop it in the group. But at the end of the month, the individuals who contribute the most to the group, Facebook actually shows the top contributors, and I am going to be engraving a plaque for the top contributors every month with their name on it. It's going to be a nice glass plaque. So any of you guys who haven't became members of the group, it's free. Sign up and get on over there. I'm just telling you guys, if you're not doing it, you're missing out on some of this fucking marketing knowledge. Don't be surprised if the person across town from you or the person that's, you know what I mean, is learning this shit, and you definitely want to fucking learn this shit. And if they're not learning it, you want to learn it because you're going to be 10 steps ahead. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm to the point now where I'm getting ready to do a video where I just light my fucking business plan on fire and teach you how to make a real fucking marketing plan. So, anyhow, guys, that's it for tonight. You got anything else you want to say?
Let me think. Not really. I don't think so. I think we told a funny story. I love always telling funny stories because we always have some really good ones. We really do.
Yeah. So anyhow, y'all, we appreciate you. And as usual, we're going to see you on that next one.
And remember, it's all about the motherfucking hustle. I'm bringing that bitch back.
Hell yeah.